Good evening, Music Multiverse listeners. This is Beyond Your Radio, and welcome to That's Your Band Name, Episode 8. Why do we do this? This is another way to showcase bands that might have decided oddly, improperly, or in the heat of the moment to name their most coveted and precious possession of sacred things, their band name, the name of their band. Think about it. This is as important as naming your child. Okay, maybe I've stepped off a bit there. Am I overstepping? I don't think so. But really, don't you wish there was a cleric or someone that was right outside of the birthing and said, no, try again. I think you did this wrong, right? No, Mark, you're being insensitive. No, I'm being realistic, okay? Your name is the first thing that's muttered. It's probably going to be the only thing that sticks with you. Maybe even you're going to be judged by it. Nah, maybe it's not as diabolical for a band, true, but think about the band names we're coming up with these past 7 shows. Wait, you haven't been watching? The fuck is wrong with you? We're going to go back over this again, okay? I got 3 exclamation points. I don't even know how to name that band. It's Chick, Chick, Chick. Then we got Sanguisuga with some sort of bloody toilet. To misspellings, offensive stuff later on that today on this show. And also we've got Cattle Decapitation and Mata Hopple. I don't even know what the hell that is, okay? And that's not a new band name. That's an old band name. And things get easier from there, like the band Live and The. Good luck finding them on the internet when you type it. But, that aside, maybe there is some fun. Hell, maybe some of these bands are truly excellent, unique, beyond their name. You missed them because they were, well, not named properly. Whatever the band name, we're going to be there to showcase them so that maybe instead of giggling about it or me going on a rant about it, you might consider listening to them, because some of them, despite their ungodly name, their profound name, their lack of spelling, or anything else of that matter, they might just be worth listening to. And tonight in this episode, I think we got a bit of that going on. So now, before we get into tonight's band names from our panelists, if you're new to the channel, welcome, or you probably already turned off because I just F-bombed. Click the subscriber button. Hell, you're our new friend. Do some liking. Do some liking. Hey, you're probably going to move up to best friend status. You do some commenting. Well, you're one of us. I hope that doesn't scare you off. We're struggling here at the channel on whether to play some snippets of the artists. We're going to be working on that, but for now, we're still going to stay in and make YouTube happy and stay out of the royalty situation. Someday, I promise, we'll play some music. So, on that note, people who need help, let me introduce the panel. We got Chef Jeff. I believe he's in Hawaii now. No. Yes? No.
Arizona.
Arizona still. Okay. Can't keep up with the juggernaut. He's got his own private plane and all that stuff. So, we're well funded. Then there's Jeff Young, who definitely has the sign of the day.
I have a private car.
And then Alex Kalizny from Lockport, New York. Alex says, no way to follow that up, I'm sure. Now, my panelists, how are we tonight?
Let's do it.
My stomach's
right?
hurting from laughing so hard. We're not even 5 minutes in.
So we're going to start it off. I don't remember the order because I did these at the last minute, but I believe the first person up is going to be Jeff Young and this fabulous band. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hold on. So the first one I'm doing is Corky and the Juice Pigs.
Yes.
Now, there is no member of the band named Corky, as there is no such thing as a juice pig. This is mainly in comedic songs by these guys. This trio, largely more satires, original songs written often in a parody of various other familiar artists and musical styles. They started out at their college radio station in Toronto, and the group hosted a show on their college radio station called Last Laughs on Us. So I have no idea why they named themselves Corky and the Juice Pigs, but that is the name they used when they entered a comedy competition hosted by Eugene Levy, who at that time was on SCTV, getting known and popular for that show, and also mostly known for American Pie, being the dad in that movie series. So that show was touring Canadian university campuses in the 80s. And I don't know how they did in the contest, but that's how they kind of started performing. The Bare Naked Ladies actually toured with Corky and the Juice Pigs in 89 and 90.
That's
and,
just so fitting.
That was on an Eastern Canadian tour. And the Bare Naked Ladies also opened for Corky and the Juice Pigs several times in their hometown of Toronto. But
that's cool.
They are actually best known in the US for their performances on Mad TV, including their most famous song, Eskimo. But good collection of songs. And Mark and I saw them live impromptu, waiting to get into the Markham Fairgrounds or in Barrie, and for the Great Canadian Party. And I think one of the first songs we heard was their one called Jesus, which is pretty funny.
Yeah. The guy next door to me thinks he's Jesus Christ and can fix my toaster.
But pretty comical. First they started playing that, I'm like, oh, what are we gonna listen to? And then they started singing. I'm like, oh, this is pretty funny.
Yeah, they are a hilarious band. If you can find the album, I would definitely get the first one. The second one is still good, but it I mean, psychopathic killer in the summertime, psychopathic killer, oh yeah, I want to put on my Speedo and go swimming in your children's blood. Dun, 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 dun. They are hilarious. They have
I feel like you didn't do the song justice.
The lead singer was in the Producers in Canada. He still acts and does theater and stuff. So excellent first choice. There's always room for comedy, and they make fun of Neil Young and other artists, like anthems like Bryan Adams. They had to have an anthem too. So yeah,
they're the ones that do Janitor. They're the ones that do Janitor.
Yeah, that was Janitor was the Neil Young one. Janitor. Oh, they keep talking about his size of his sausage or something. I don't know, crazy shit.
But a lot of their tracks are really short, like just maybe not a minute, sometimes 2-3 minutes. Their longest song might be 4 minutes, but
yeah, they had those little PSA public service announcements too, like I can't remember, like Ernest Borgnine, he's the cheese or something. It's crazy stuff. Anywho, excellent choice. I believe the next one up would be Alex.
Well, I don't have a single photo that I've found of anybody from this band because I'm not even sure that one in the background of you is the one I'm talking about.
The cover-ups.
So this was a rabbit hole that I went down after Jeff last episode of What's Your Band Name. I have the cover-ups as an American cover band side project of Green Day.
Oh, well.
So this one would be when Jeff brought up the Foxborough hot tubs, and I proceeded to go through, watch the performance from one of the late shows. I ended up Googling that and finding it and finally seeing that. And then so I was trying to go through the rabbit hole. I ended up finding this.
My problem was I had it as 2 words.
Ah.
And I wonder why I had it as 2 words.
So this goes to show, at least as far as band names and searches go. But I like the idea of the cover-ups. I throw a nod to my buddy from college who had the Plagiarists as his cover band name, but the cover-ups is pretty good too. So they only did one-off shows with this in small clubs, but I thought going to piggyback off last week with Jeff and ride his coattails a little bit. Yeah,
you are right.
For the first, so that's Chris Dugan, Bill Schneider, Jason White, Billy Joe Armstrong, and Mike
Dirnt.
Dirnt.
Yep.
Dirnt.
Yep. So yeah, 3 guys all on lead vocal duties, but when it's a cover band, I guess you can cover a lot of range that way. So.
And kind of, did you get to see what those particular songs they did were?
I did not get a list of any of those. No, I just kind of covered. I found this when I was just going through the random YouTube performances from Jeff and looking up some of the Green Day history with the Foxborough Hot Tubs and how that parlayed off into their second album of the trilogy of Uno Dos Tres. So
Mhm.
this kind of came as a result of that.
Yeah, Nice Guys finished last. Welcome to Paradise, Basket Case,
So doing a little bit of their
Oh,
own stuff too.
Kill the DJ. Yeah. Okay.
Jeff
I think
Ray.
Chef Jeff is up next with a excellent choice.
First of all, I have to say, tonight and only tonight, we believe that our host tonight has had 4 Red Bulls before the show. So, Uriah Heep, fabulous band. I saw them in '72 when they did their Demons and Wizards tour. They are fabulous. They're hard rock, but not what I think. Hard rock, when you say the words like Zeppelin and Cream and stuff like that, it's that type of hard rock, not what a lot of people think of hard rock now. It's totally different genre. But great band. They're an English band. They were formed, I believe, where was my dates here? They were formed in '69 in London. Mick Box is the original. They still tour to today. They're doing a tour this summer in New England, and I love them. As I said,
Remind me of some of their more popular song names.
Okay, I think their most famous song name, the one is they do one called "Lady in Black," which is a great song. Easy listening. Easy living. Sorry about that.
Living, yeah.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
Free Me, Stealing. They're great. I happened to also see them 4 years ago in a much different way, because they played in my hometown of Hilo, and very small gig. They were all there, but they were definitely very old. They still had it, I think. I don't think they were as tight as it when they did their 70s, but these guys have to be in their 70s, have to be. So,
definitely. I mean, they've been around since the late 60s, right?
69. They formed in '69.
Yeah.
So, but they were pretty young back then. I believe they're around my age, somewhere around in the 70s. But great band. I can't say anything bad about them. Mark and me were talking the other day about this band, and they just never became super popular, and they definitely have the talent to be, but I don't believe that they never got the management or the record company support to bring it from a great band into superstar and stuff like that. But if they're, as they said, they're still touring. If you guys have a chance to see them, check them out. It's definitely very, very tight rock.
Kind of a confusing name, to your point.
Oh, Uriah Heep is from, I believe it's the one of the Dickens novels. Let's see, I gotta look back on my notes here. Unfortunately, my iPad stand is broken, so I'm very one-handed right now. Yeah.
So-
Okay. So it's basically a character in the novel of David Copperfield by Charles Dickens.
Huh.
So that's where they pulled the song up.
Yeah, I am. I didn't follow them early in music. I didn't. I'm not a child of this early 70s music. I've had to go back to it like most of maybe our watchers, listeners that would be in that vein too. They're not Deep Purple, they're not Yes, but they don't have a signature sound to me. Only then that's just me. I mean, there are people out there in the music multiverse and on YouTube that have channels that anytime Uriah Heep is mentioned, they come by thousands to listen to the show. And obviously that's not a plug of why we did this. Jeff came up with it, on his own. We don't talk about these beforehand, but Uriah Heep is always one of those that I've picked up albums and I listen to them like, wow, it's, talented and all together and tight. And the production's very good. And, we're talking older production. They've got new albums out today. I think is it this year they put out an album or maybe the end of last year? It's just not, they don't have a signature sound to me. I always like Deep Purple and even
Deep Purple people only really know Deep Purple because they had,
Machine Head
and My Woman from Tokyo and stuff like that. And that made them famous. Uriah Heep I believe they had a couple top tens, but I don't believe they ever had a number one. So,
all right.
Okay, Mark.
I'm going to go a little off kilter, like I started the show. How about a name that actually is awesome? This is the name of the band is The Storm. Pretty cool, right? Yeah, it should be. Give me a minute to explain. This is, this is 1991. Okay. 1990, 1991. You know what's coming. One of the most influential albums over the last multiple decades. Okay. So ballad rock is starting to hit a wall. And I'll explain that in a minute. And this band is formed out of the fallout of Journey. It just says 3 members from Journey in it. So this should be right up everyone's alley. They got the great name. And actually, their first single hits number 6. Their second single, I think, hits the top 22. It's a super group and very American rock sound from that era. Then they start to tour with Bryan Adams for Waking Up the Neighbors, Eddie Money for Right Here, Tom Cochrane, that's right, Life is a Highway, and Peter Frampton. So they get great acclaim to who they're opening for. I saw them open for Bryan Adams on the Waking Up the Neighbors tour in Buffalo. Then it's time for this second album. And the label, Interscope, takes a nosedive into something else instead. And they don't even go to the grunge area. They take Death Row Records on and they start to produce and reproduce and put those records and sell those. And Eye of the Storm, which was the second album from this band, The Storm, never really gets released until several years later in 1995, where it really sees no one. Band members are going in and out, and one of the drummers, who's kind of famous for being in Journey, was sort of low-keyed. If you listen to this record, it's a very good record. If you listen to it, the drums seem underplayed and underwhelming. Maybe that's a production thing of the late 80s moving into the 90s that happens. But then Ron Wixow comes in. Wixow went on to drum with David Lee Roth, Foreigner, Richie Sambora, Eddie Money, Creedence Clearwater Revisited, and the Steve Miller Band, who he's still with today.
It's like an NFL running back.
Yeah, he's been everywhere, right? So when I get back to this, when you look at, I'm looking at the record store bins for this Eye of the Storm. I can't find it. I've listened to it on a playlist that somebody made. Valerie and Smith went back and they reformed Journey with that singer they have currently now. And they're obviously, they never left their age or their genre that they're playing. And I don't think Journey's ever done anything that modernization wise, to be honest with you. Really, it's Journey for now. Back then.
Shit, they made the one song that can still carry their way off into the sunset that is one
Yeah.
of my absolute despised of the popular songs nowadays.
But here is a band that has an excellent name, big backing, and just doesn't catch. I do recommend the first album, Eye of the Storm. I don't have a physical copy. I've listened to it in that digital world. I don't think it's as good, but then again, I'm listening to it through speakers and not through headphones, and in the fairness that it was supposed to be put in. Anyway, I will send it back to Jeff Young for his next one, which is also in the mainstream.
This one is the Dixie Chicks, who changed their name to the Chicks in 2020. So it was actually 2 weeks after Lady Antebellum became Lady A, distancing themselves from, historically racist connotations of the Antebellum South. And so the Dixie Chicks said, we're going to take the word Dixie out. Dixie can be more than a mere regional destination. Some Southerners, in the article I read, would simply say, if you're not from the South, you wouldn't get it. But historically speaking, I guess Dixie can be derived from the Mason-Dixon line, which obviously separated the free states from the slavery states. And some believe it came from the French $10 bill, which was circulated in Antebellum, Louisiana, known as Dix, D-I-X. But regardless, they felt it was a reference to a time and a place when slavery was, when Black people were enslaved. So that was the reason they got rid of it. I don't know. I mean, personally, I don't know. I didn't even know that happened until I was looking online. It's like 4 years ago, and like I don't follow the Dixie Chicks anyway, but it seems like that. I don't know. Like, did they really need to do that? I don't know. They did. Did it affect them at all? I don't know.
Yeah, I
mean, I think they picked a good reason to change it. I just don't know if they really did it. It probably was a safer thing to do.
As someone that listens to the genre too, I will say, like, I don't hear a whole ton of the Dixie Chicks or the Chicks at all nowadays anyways. And really Lady A to that extent, because they're they're definitely more recent of a band to get success than the Dixie Chicks. And just, they're not as, I think maybe one or two Lady A songs have trickled through my listenings, but aside from that, like, you don't hear anything from the Chicks unless it's like some sort of throwback, let's play this because we haven't played it in a while and it's Thursday and whatever. I don't really know that the name change really did anything for them. I don't really think they've been that relevant.
Yeah, honestly, this is a woke issue. It's not fair. I don't think. Unless you are presenting it and your name is presenting your band as what you actually deliver, and you have racist connotations, and you're, their name from the Dixie Chicks to the Chicks, it's minuscule at best. Was it necessary? Probably not. Antebellum, I'm not even sure if that would have made one lick of difference. Country music, in my opinion, and it's not in my wheelhouse, but it seems to me that unless you have a completely, utterly definitive sound that accentuates you beyond the norm, you're going to be lost in the commonness of it all. All right, the easy delivery. And it's today, Garth Brooks still the same way, Shania Twain still the same way, and their signature sounds, right? And Antebellum, and some of these bands, they're ripping off other people anyway. That should be the thing that pisses me off more than anything. They don't even write their own stuff. One guy's covering Fast Car by Tracy Chapman, and ruining it. And then that other band did Life is a Highway by Tom Cochrane. I pretty much wanted to just throw up the minute I heard it. They should be more, I'm more offended by that than their band name. Okay. If you're going to cover something, do it well.
I have a little different opinion. I've seen them 3 times. I've seen them twice in Texas and once in California. I like them. I've always liked them. They are on a regular playlist of mine. I believe
Who are we talking? Which we talking about the Dixie Chicks?
the Dixie Chicks, not the
Okay.
Chicks. Okay.
Well, okay.
I like them very much. I find their sound unique. They have one of the few bands that have a regular banjo in it, and so there's it's country, but there's a lot of bluegrass thrown into it. You know, a lot of what I call raw country. But
they have a signature sound. They do. They have a signature sound.
Yeah, I thought when they went to the Chicks, they lost everything. I was not impressed. I never seen them, but
hey, let's put it this way. What they did, okay, it's sort of like the NFL too, right? Same kind of thing. You're going to piss off your fans by not sticking to your guns, right? When I'm not getting on the gun thing. But the idea here is that sometimes you just need to stand up and go, hey, I am what I am. This is what our band name is. This is what you do is, and I'm sure just like in the NFL, people said, I'm not watching this anymore. I'm not doing this anthem bullshit. And then they're on like where they're at. And you guys
are they getting like protests or something? I don't understand like what was the cause. I couldn't find the cause.
They were worried about well, let's put it this way, okay? They have to live by their sword, okay? And their sword is liberal. The Dixie Chicks are liberal. So they had to live by their sword when they saw the other person fall on their sword. So they died by their sword too, okay? Instead of realizing my name is my name, okay?
Well, they can change it back anytime. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll also say too, the move from Lady Antebellum to Lady A, that actually made sense because I remember when they were at their peak and they were producing a lot that was for everyone, popular listening. People kind of already called them Lady A anyways as a nickname. That kind of just became their thing because people just didn't want to say Lady Antebellum. So actually the name change for them actually kind of made sense because people were calling them that anyways.
A lot of hip hop artists do that.
I think Jeff's driving from East Aurora.
Jeff's going through a feud. I'll say this: they're Lady A. If they would have had once they changed their band name to that, I think their first. I think their first song, their first album should have been Hester Prynne, and then that would have been all right. It would have worked out
They
perfect.
could have changed their name to F&A.
There you are. You're back.
You're back. You were gone for a while, Jeff.
Yeah, you had
as far as I know, I've been here the whole time.
Well, you disappeared.
Well, you were there, but your mouth and the words were going. We thought you were in East Aurora. So can you go back again?
I've been kidnapped.
Anyway, I think it's a good discussion that can go on for a long time. But I mean,
not for me. I'm done.
Say again.
Not for me. I'm done.
Oh.
Yeah. Let's move on, Mark.
Alex.
I got Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, a band named after a children's book of the same name.
Gimme Gimmes?
Me First and the Gimme Gimmes.
Oh.
So this was Stand on the Pattern, another cover band. Kind of caught on to them going through the rabbit hole of starting with the cover-ups and landed on this. I'll be honest, between 4 of the 5 members, I know of NOFX. I don't know anything about Swingin' Utters and Revolts or Lagwagon or RKL. So I don't know 4 of the 5. What I do know is of the band member that left after 24 years of being in this band and left in 2019 is Chris Shiflett, the Foo Fighters lead guitarist. So the whole
I knew there was somewhere that was going. Because that's a big rabbit.
He's no longer involved because I guess the band started to release songs that he didn't play on. So he said, that's my time. That's my cue. I'm out. Even though his brother is one of their often special guests.
So what's the sound? What's the sound like? Are we talking Mighty Mighty Boss Tones? What's the?
Well, so being a cover band, they have released a cover of Santa Baby around Christmas time. But for each of their albums, the themes that have come off of them. So Aura Drag in 1999, their second album they came out with, show tunes.
Okay.
So they've bounced around from different ideas. They hit all musicals from this. So The Wizard of Oz, The Rocky Horror Show, The Sound of Music, Phantom of the Opera, Grease, Annie, the Muppet movie they covered a track of in this.
ABBA?
Much to Jeff's dismay, no.
Well, only Cher can cover ABBA. Just again, only Cher.
But then they had an album, Love Their Country, and they covered Garth Brooks, did Desperado, they did Willie Nelson in here, John Denver, Dolly Parton, Hank Williams, Dixie Chicks. Actually, they did Goodbye Earl.
Now, do they have to go back and change the name on all the tracks now?
Johnny Cash, Kenny Rogers, those were some of the other ones in there. And then a lot of some of the other stuff too that they've done is very much more classic, a little bit on the pop side, I think, when they did Are We Not Men, We Are Diva, doing a little bit of Paula Abdul, Cher, Christina Aguilera, Celine Dion, Lady Gaga in there, Madonna, Culture Club, Barbra Streisand. And then just kind of going off of their first album to give you an idea, though, too, doing songs from Paul Simon, Billy Joel, Simon and Garfunkel, Neil Diamond, Elton John, completely. And I'm going to have to go down the rabbit hole of listening to this because from what I'm kind of gathering is they put their own spin on everything with a humorous edge. And that sounds like something
that's kind of how I figured with their look and feel, you know?
Well, and they're known for wearing themed costumes on stage. That's one of their quirks. So for the second album, Aura Drag, they all dressed in drag as various characters from the musicals, wore cowboy outfits for Love Their Country. And then they've done anything from red suits to pajamas to cheerleader outfits to there's one show with the band AFI on Warped Tour they're playing together. They dressed as AFI and AFI dressed as the Gimme Gimmes. So
cool.
Sounds like a cross between Corky and the Juice Pigs and the Village People, but that's okay.
Apparently the most
I am
common and
definitely gonna
popular are
do that.
Hawaiian shirts. So Jeff would fit in tonight with them perfectly.
There you go.
But
Well,
yeah,
I'm
so
sure Jeff has his own cheerleader outfit too. He just hasn't worn it yet.
Someday soon.
keyword yet. So yeah, I stumbled upon them from seeing the cover-ups, and yeah, I thought that was a good one to add in there and kind of a cool little name.
Cool. Me first and the Gimme Gimmes.
Okay, guys. This is a band I have never seen, unfortunately, because I've probably been arrested. Like everybody.
Fortunately or unfortunately?
That's the one.
This band is a band from Norway. They were formed in 1999. They lasted to 2012. They were known for a lot of things. They are death metal or death and roll. I tried to listen to about 5 songs, but that's all I could get. Their music, even being very, very, metal, isn't bad. But as soon as the damn singer opens his mouth, you lose everything. It's just awful. It really is. It's really, really hard to take. It's very dark.
I could make so
and
many
it's-
jokes about this review.
Yeah,
with this
right, I
band.
know.
But you can go.
My mind
Go
is
away.
just doing this.
Yeah. So anyway, they're out of Norway. Christopher Schau and Peter Anderson are the 2 main people. The problem with them is that they had lots of violent live performances where on a regular basis, band members and roadies and other would have lacerations and broken bones. They also got arrested on 4 different occasions, I found out, for having live sex acts on stage.
I mean, it kind of went without saying when you saw the name that
Just
could
so we're
happen.
clear, the
It's
band
all
members were
special
not having the
effects.
sex.
All special effects.
No, they hired porn. They're people from some porn place that, you know,
And some
I'm sure they
countries
just.
like Amsterdam, that's good.
Groupies, baby, groupies. So, yeah, but
And
so
you know
they
who opened
only-
up? You know who opened for him?
Oh,
Me
no.
first, and then gimme.
Yeah,
Well, would you open for them? No, never mind.
they actually they produced.
Now you're gonna have to rate the content.
Yeah. They produced 4 albums. Their most popular, if you want to call anybody, was one called Norwegian Jesus. They had some very strange songs. But as I said, for me, they're extremely hard to listen to. I'd have to be really high on something. So, but they also had a 2 members did eco porn called "Fuck for Forced."
Yeah.
But yeah, strange band. I picked them mostly for the name because it's a known name, but an unknown band name.
Yes.
You got them on your wall back there, Mark? Yeah.
I do not. This is as close as I've come to. What are you doing?
Let me see the
Oh,
side
it's such
again.
a
I
bad
didn't see
show.
it.
Such a bad show. Jeez. Yes. And on that, we'll leave the Norwegians to their craziness.
Mark, what do you
know?
got for?
I'm going to bring it down to some. So my band is Saigon Kick.
Nice.
All right. So it's sort of unintentional, but guess what year we're still in? 1991.
Can't get out of the 90s.
No. So here's this hard rock band from Miami. They had their debut, and it's not a charter really, but hard rock, like you said, is in a crazy time right now where grunge is just about to pummel it, right? Draw all its attention. Nirvana, Pearl Jam. Then they bring out this second album, The Lizard. That kind of gets radio play. As a matter of fact, I think it went gold. So did the album. Say again?
Their ballad was on the radio all the time.
Yes. Yep. It got radio play. It hung in there. Then they tried to maintain that success and got a lot of alternative radio play. But the band broke apart a little bit later from that. They put out an album called Water, or The Water. I believe I have it in cassette. So here's why I'm doing this. I don't know why they named the band Saigon Kick. I didn't really get a chance to really find that. It's not a bad name. Did it tell me much about the music? No. The only reason I got to it was Jeff Young telling me, you got to hear the song from this band Saigon Kick. So I didn't start at the first album. I started at the second, then went back to the first, and then the third one came along. Why I'm bringing this to your attention is for later. So I will bring it now back to Jeff Young.
All right, sir.
For his third and final, which, remember again, we didn't talk about this. We didn't compare notes, and all of a sudden, here it is.
Deep Purple is the band name I took up. So original name was Roundabout. So actually none of the band's members were really fond of the name, and it was during 1968 tour in Scandinavia that they had decided to change it once and for all. So some of the suggestions included Orpheus, Concrete God, and the one that I like the most, Fire.
Only a third of Earth Wind.
So Richie Blackmore suggested Deep Purple because it was his grandmother's favorite song. It was a 1930s standard that had some renewed popularity. in 1963 when an artist who I've never heard of before, Nino Tempo and April Stevens, took their version to number 1 on Billboard's Hot 100. So the name also had a bit of a drug reference to it. Deep Purple was the name of a strain of acid, but the keyboardist John Lord said that they weren't really a drug band, but more of a Scotch and Coke band.
Scotch and Coke. That's a great band name.
So they broke up in the late 70s and remember went their separate ways. And then in 1980, the vocalist Rod Evans hit the road with a band called Bogus Deep Purple, playing Deep Purple songs with other, unaffiliated musicians. But then got sued by the rest of the guys. It turns out Evans had actually filed a fraudulent trademark registration claiming he was the sole owner of the band name. So the court said, you're wrong, everyone has a claim to the name, and ordered Evans to stop using any iteration of the name Deep Purple, and he had to pay royalties to the others in the sum of $650,000, which at that time is a lot of money. It's a lot of money today, but even back then, that's a lot of money. So that's Deep Purple for you. That's the one I picked.
Yeah, it's kind of cool that we were talking, Jeff and I were talking about Uriah Heep, talking about Deep Purple, and these bands been around a long time.
Yeah, I
And they
saw
still can-
I saw Deep Purple in '79 at the first US festival.
Saw him at
So-
Darien Lake.
If I saw
Yeah.
a band in 1979, I sure as shit wouldn't remember it in 2023. Holy hell, is that a memory?
Yeah,
No,
and Jeff doesn't eat salmon because he's allergic to it. So I don't know what the brain food is.
Yeah, I have no
And
brain.
if I'm going to a Deep Purple concert in 1979, I'm probably high.
Yeah, but you know what the problem is I remember almost all the concerts, at least going to them. Now, do I remember them? But the thing is that if you're just smoking pot, you don't go out that far where you can't remember what you're doing. So, and I was trying to calculate the other day. I've been now going to bands since I was 16. So that's 54 years ago, something like
Mhm.
that. So I've seen somewhere between 650 and 700 concerts. I'm going to say somewhere around that nature.
Wow.
So I've seen a lot, and mostly in the rock, in the rock genre, because was my favorite. I mean, I've seen a lot of other genres, but rock. But Deep Purple's awesome. They were tight. They were not long lived. They didn't do too much that they got notoriety for. They were very popular.
Yeah, they had a certain section that, but I know a lot of Deep Purple fans, okay, and they will say that they are still, the album runs were 4, 5, 6 deep that were all great, and I have since gone back and got and bought records to put on, and especially I think, is the one called Fire, or is it Burn? Burn. And I didn't have that on CD. I listened to it on, and it's marvelous. I mean, they're a huge band, really, if you think about it, in the rock.
Massive.
Yeah, and I think they get every bit of kudo and respect that they deserve. Even the covers that they did recently, those were well done about a couple years back. So yeah, good pick. Good pick. I do like the name Fire. That is, yeah.
And everybody wants to play the chords to Smoke on the Water. I even learned how to play it on my clarinet.
Number one, I think them in Boston, those are the 2 most played chords that any guitarist would ever. Yep. Alex,
So for
give us
mine,
the shitty bang on this, eh?
this is a little bit of nostalgia for me. So this group, hip hop group, came about in 2009. Now, I went to college in 2011, right around the time these guys got big. And I got to say that they were a very ever-present presence in my soundtrack throughout college, walking to class with headphones in and trying not to talk to anybody because I just didn't want to be social. So yeah, the main rapper of the group is stage name is Chitty Bang, and his other half of the duo is known as Zaffoon Jones. I'm not even going to try to butcher both of their last names by saying the real names. But this group formed in 2009, even got some play on some video game soundtracks, Madden, NBA, Need for Speed. Came out with an album in 2010. I Love Breakfast from 2012. Breakfast is one of my favorites of their two. But then they just fell off. Now you can ask what they were doing in that time. And well, in 2011, Chitty Bang was rapping for 9 hours, 18 minutes, and 22 seconds, which ended at the MTV's inaugural O Music Awards, getting him a Guinness Book of World Records for longest freestyle and longest continuous rap, previously held by Canadian rapper Dio. Unfortunately, that 9 hours, 18 minutes, and 22 seconds was only a blip on the radar compared to how long fans like me had to wait for any music to ever come back out from them. Because just this year, I find out from this, he dropped 2 albums already this year.
Interesting.
Dropped Lunch in January, and I believe Keep the Change was from May.
So how long we have to wait for dinner to come out?
Well, he's come out with Breakfast and Lunch, so
Yeah, dinner's got to be, or maybe he's going to do noonsies. Who knows?
well, I found out in looking this up when I heard that I ended up listening to Lunch, and he references that he came out with Breakfast and then Lunch. It did. I think it's only in the second or third track, but I'll be honest.
You listen to this. After you listen to it, are you hoping that they serve breakfast all day?
I'm hoping dinner's a whole hell of a lot better than Lunch because, yeah, I want to hear what Keep the Change has to offer, but just from only having had a chance to listen to Lunch, it was like when you listen to the preview and you listen to Breakfast, it had a much more college party vibe. It had an upbeat bit to it, and the vocals were really catchy, and you remember
hip hop,
certain
right?
lyrics
This
here
is
and
the
there.
kind of play, right?
Yeah.
Hip-hop?
Yeah, but it was like it had that college frat house vibe to it that you could really play this, or they'd be a great act to play on your campus for those one-off festivals. And then like I said, hearing the new one, hearing Lunch, and I'll see what Keep the Change has to offer. But Lunch was it felt very heavily produced. It felt auto-tuned. It didn't feel as free-flowing and vibey. It didn't feel as, it just didn't put you in a moment. You felt like you kind of listened to the same thing over and over, or you just heard it and just went, next track. And
But it lacks the connection the four of us share.
That is it. Yes.
I was disappointed by it, but I could see maybe where I could get glimpses of hearing the old style back. But I'd really like to, I'll see what Keep the Change has to offer because I'll keep an open mind to it, but I'd really like to see this. I'd really like to see them return to their old style. And Zaffoon has helped produce still, even though the two split so he could produce and Chitty Bang could go solo. Zaffoon apparently has had a hand in producing still. So
Mac Miller's in there too, right?
from the original stuff, yeah. I'd say
that probably has something to do with
those acts coincide very well in style from that era. Because I wasn't even a fan of newer Mac Miller, but his original mixtape stuff that got him popular was really, really good. So I thought the two styles actually kind of match pretty well.
Okay. So I'm going to preface before I hit the next slide that I don't know where this is going. I have an idea where it's going, but I could be wrong. So there is no slide other than the name. So Chef Jeff, go ahead.
Okay, actually, the problem is that the Dildos, the name the Dildos only lasted for 3 records. And they are a Mexican alternative band. But Mark, if you look into your thing and look under DLD,
Dildos.
DLD, you'll get many pictures. So,
Well, here's Here's why I didn't. No, I'll go at the end why I didn't go there. It has nothing to do with offensive because hell, I'm not offended by anything really, except for people who think they're cats. But other than
But their record covers aren't bad. I'm looking at
no,
it right
no, I didn't know you were going to that band. I like that band. Okay,
Oh,
I don't know why
that's
they're
the
called
original.
that.
That's the original name.
I know, but I don't. So here's where I thought you were going. Okay.
Never think.
Okay. I thought you were going with Steely. I thought you were going with Steely Dan.
That's too funny. No,
Because
no,
Steely
no.
Dan named their, their name comes from Naked Lunch, and that was that steam powered dildo thing. So I thought that's where you were going with that because I couldn't get. I'm like,
I told you there were.
Band?
It was a I told you it was a Mexican rock band.
Oh, I didn't. I must not have caught the Mexican because we were, was I driving at that time?
Possibly.
Okay.
Oh God.
What is
That's
happening?
too
So
funny.
anyway, carry on to give us the feel of this alternative Mexican dildo.
Yeah,
band.
they're alternative rock. They've been around for 18 years now.
Is the album named Hamilton Beach? No, sorry, never mind.
No, I saw one of their records was thrown on the field at Tom Brady once in the Bills Stadium.
Their latest album is Futura, Futura. They are in concert right now in New York. But they've been around for, as I said, 18 years. They are. I listened to 4 or 5 records or songs yesterday. They are very. I call it Santana with some metal added.
Metal in it, yeah.
Yeah, but they're very smooth.
I see what you did there. Santana, smooth.
That was not
It's
done.
totally
on purpose.
unintentional. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink
Don't
it.
overthink it.
He got lucky. He got lucky there, right? All
Hey,
right.
after a few Jack Daniels, it's all smooth.
Oh, it's all smooth. It's all clear. It's all smooth. Smooth like a dildo. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Some have ribs. So. So anyway, guys, we're losing control here.
Jeff is just sitting there as still as can be
Yeah.
right now.
There's always one in every group. So
Or two.
I'm listening, Jeff. I don't know about those guys. I'm listening to you.
There might always be 1 or 2 in every group, but when it comes to this band, there's usually 3 in everybody's drawer.
Speak for yourself.
When that band goes out, do they kind of go, yeah, we've got an opening for you?
So they formed in 1998, but it took 5 years to debut their first self-titled album, Dildo. It met with a lot of controversy with the name and stuff like that, and a bunch of record companies would not play their records, or radio stations would play the records, or they had a hard time with representation. And then they decided, you know what, let's make a change. So they changed it to DLD. And that's what they are today. They started May 24th of this year on a 5-month American tour. And the lead singer and guitarist, Francisco, basically has a very smooth voice. It's very nice. I really like it. I'm probably going to listen to a little more of it, even though I normally don't get into Latin records very much because my Spanish is limited. But it's very, very nice. It's very, very nice. That's really all I have to say about it. I picked them by name, and then I actually the music.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. And now I'll close the show continuing on the Saigon Kick to one of the band members and probably the most prolific band member, Jason Byler. Jason Byler went on from Saigon Kick to make his band Jason Byler and the Baron Von Bielski Orchestra. Now, when the Saigon Kick was probably falling apart for financial reasons, but also for creative reasons, I think Byler was moving to a progressive stance in rock. And I don't think it was well received by other band members who probably wanted to stay in that 90s realm that they were in and maybe fight to get to grunge. I don't think Byler hated grunge in any way, shape, or form because it's present on his record and records. I will say this from the website. Jason Byler is a post-apocalyptic troubadour with a penchant for the sonically grotesque, an amateur surgeon, water diviner, a living saint as recognized by the Church of the obscenely nonsensical denomination or donation. Huh, that might be spelled wrong.
I think he stole my LinkedIn profile.
I think he's a very clever individual. Who's ever running his Twitter campaigns and stuff it's magical. If it is him, he's certainly creative to, and I would love everybody to kind of follow him if that was the case. I will say Postcards from the Asylum, which released this year, is in contention for album of the year for me. It's on my list of 46 that was just put back on the site. It's a great progressive rock record, has metal elements, has other elements in it too. The inside liner notes have strange names of the musical players. I believe that is to protect the people who were involved in the project that were probably famous. I can't pick them out, but there's other people who have made their guesses. So Jason Byler and the Baron Von Bielski Orchestra has Postcards from the Asylum, Songs from the Apocalypse, Heathens, and Bring Out Your Dead, and Bear Sedatives. I think the Heathens was it's a single probably. That's not probably right, but Bear Sedatives from 2022. Bring Out Your Dead is 2020. Songs from the Apocalypse is 2021. I recommend the progressive people give it a good listen. You'll like it. It's not Genesis. It's more the progressive rock and metal sort of in the lines of maybe Queensryche, you know. So, well, I'm going to thank my panelists for this excellent show. I knew it was going to be quite crazy. We're on the web at www.beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You know, we've got all kinds of articles on the website. And listen, if you were offended by today's show, please try us. Come again. Happy listening.
Oh, God.
Happy